On September 29, 1968, Wendy Jo Halison, a 22-year-old art student, embarked on a routine errand that would tragically end her life. She drove her green Ford Thunderbird down Fairfax Avenue, stopping at a nearby store to purchase a hairdryer. Afterwards, she proceeded to a gas station to fill up her car. However, Wendy never made it back home. The following morning, her lifeless body was discovered in the trunk of her car, just a few blocks away from where she was last seen. The mystery surrounding her murder lingered for decades, with detectives and potential suspects unable to crack the case. But after 48 years, an unexpected breakthrough sent chills down everyone's spines. So, who was responsible for Wendy's untimely demise? What dark secrets and hidden motives led to her tragic end? Hi, and welcome back to Mysterious 7, friends. Today we're looking at the disturbing case of Wendy Halison. But first, if you still haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon below. And don't forget to hit like. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this mystery. Nestled in Southern California, with a population of roughly 3.9 million people, Los Angeles is an enchanting metropolis that captures the imagination with its fusion of glitz, glamour, and cultural diversity. From the iconic Hollywood sign to the lively boardwalk of Venice Beach, the city pulses with an irresistible energy. In every corner of the city, there lies an adventure waiting to be discovered by those who dare to dream big. And it's here our story begins. Wendy Jo Halison was born on August 24, 1946, to parents Lee and Kathleen Halison. She grew up alongside her older sister Linda in their family home, where they enjoyed painting and playing the piano. Wendy was known for her sociable nature and infectious smile. As the years passed by, she blossomed into a young woman brimming with dreams and aspirations. In 1968, at the tender age of 22, she embarked on a journey as an art student, attending classes at the San Fernando Valley State College, now known as Cal State Northridge. Amidst her pursuit of creativity, she continued to live with her parents at their home on Stearns Drive, south of Carthay Square. Wendy's loyal poodle, Pierre, was a cherished part of her life during this time. Life seemed to be a harmonious symphony for Wendy as she reveled in the warmth of her family and the pursuit of her passions. It appeared as though she had everything she could ever desire. But then something unexpected happened, and things took a dark turn. Wendy's phone call to her sister Linda on the afternoon of September 29, 1968, set a chain of events into motion. During the call, she shared the news of a newspaper ad she'd stumbled upon, a hairdryer on sale at a store, Thrifty. Eager to include Linda in her adventure to purchase the item, Wendy asked if she'd like to accompany her. Linda, who was then a devoted wife and mother of 2 young boys, listened intently to her sister's enthusiastic voice on the other end of the line. Despite the tempting offer, she hesitated, torn between the desire to seize this opportunity and the longing to spend a day with her family. Ultimately, her maternal instincts prevailed, and she declined Wendy's invitation. Undeterred by Linda's absence, Wendy got into her green Ford Thunderbird and drove down the bustling Fairfax Avenue. Finally, her car glided to a halt at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard, where Thrifty stood, its doors beckoning her. Inside, Wendy perused the aisles before purchasing the hairdryer. Satisfied, she left the store. The day continued to unfold, leading Wendy to a nearby gas station where she pulled up to refill her vehicle. That was the last time anyone saw Wendy alive. She never returned home to her family. As the sun began to set over the Halison family home, an unsettling silence settled in. Wendy's absence lingered, causing a ripple of worry to course through her family's hearts. It was an unusual occurrence for Wendy not to check in. Linda was plagued with regrets as she wished she'd accompanied Wendy to the store. As the night wore on, Wendy's mother, Kathleen, resolved to take action. She dialed the police, her voice trembling with fear as she reported her daughter missing. But to her dismay, the authorities informed her that a missing persons case couldn't be initiated so swiftly. Refusing to succumb to helplessness, the Halison family banded together, determined to find Wendy. Gil Court, who was Linda's husband and also happened to be a private investigator, helped organize a search party. The morning of September 30th, 1968 arrived, carrying with it a renewed sense of purpose. Gil, unwavering in his commitment, went to great lengths. He enlisted the aid of a helicopter to search the neighborhood from above, Wendy's boyfriend, his heart heavy with worry, also joined the search party. The search for Wendy soon commenced. Every possible route was examined, the searchers' eyes scanning for any sign of her bright green Ford Thunderbird. Within an hour of searching, Wendy's boyfriend spotted her Thunderbird parked on Fairfax Avenue from the helicopter. Without wasting a moment, Gil descended upon the parked car. As he peered through the window, a chilling realization swept over him. Wendy was nowhere to be found. However, he saw the car keys lying abandoned on the floor of the back seat. Driven by a gut feeling, Gil snatched up the keys from their resting place. With trembling hands, he unlocked the trunk, his breath catching in his throat. There, in that confined space, lay Wendy's lifeless body. It was a sight that would be forever seared into his memory. It was the worst day of my life, Gil recalled. The discovery sent shockwaves through the search party, their hopes dashed against the jagged rocks of reality. The unimaginable had become their truth. As detectives arrived at the grim scene, their seasoned eyes meticulously examined every detail. One thing stood out. Wendy's jewelry and watch remained adorned on her lifeless form, effectively ruling out robbery as the motive behind her untimely demise. Oddly enough, the only item missing was the very hairdryer she'd set out to purchase. Further examination unveiled a chilling narrative. Wendy had endured a violation before her life was cruelly extinguished. The detectives also discovered a rope nearby, its presence suggesting a sinister role in her demise. Their gaze then shifted to her fingers, and they noticed that she had broken nails. Due to this, they believed she'd put up a fight against the assailant who took her life. News of Wendy's demise shattered her family's world. Devastation consumed them as they struggled to comprehend the tragedy. A question hung heavy in their hearts. Who could have done such an evil deed? The detectives, driven by the desire for justice, vowed to unmask the heartless perpetrator behind Wendy's tragic end. They strived to bring solace to her grieving family and ensure that no stone remained unturned in their pursuit of truth. As the investigation unfolded, a web of suspicion began to entangle those who were close to Wendy. Detectives honed in on 4 men who held intricate ties to her life. Among them were her devoted boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend with whom she maintained a cordial friendship, an unidentified friend, and lastly, her brother-in-law, Gil. The detectives' attention was fixated on Wendy's boyfriend especially. They couldn't help but wonder how he'd easily spotted her parked car from the helicopter, as if he knew exactly where to look before they'd even narrowed down the search area. It perplexed them. Even the pilot was amazed at his ability to see the car from up in the sky. As doubts grew, Wendy's boyfriend faced further scrutiny when he failed a lie detector test, deepening suspicions surrounding him. In contrast, Gil, Wendy's brother-in-law, remained cooperative throughout the investigation. When asked to undergo a polygraph test alongside the others, Gil willingly agreed, and the focus shifted towards other potential suspects. Now, while Wendy's boyfriend failed the polygraph test, there was no evidence to show that he was involved in her death. Days soon turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. It was as if time itself conspired to guard the secrets within its relentless passage. Helplessly, the case grew colder, its flames of justice flickering in the wind. 3 decades later, in 1998, a new chapter unfolded in Wendy's case. It was reopened, and Harry Clan Jr., a criminalist with the LAPD, was called upon by Detective Frank Boland to re-examine the evidence. At the time, DNA analysis was still in its early stages, with the LAPD having only 4 years of experience in this groundbreaking forensic technique. A glimmer of hope emerged when traces of bodily fluids were discovered on Wendy's pants and underwear. Eager to pursue any lead, the detectives decided to analyze the DNA in the hopes of unearthing a fresh trail. To their astonishment, the analysis unveiled a significant breakthrough, a DNA sample that belonged to the suspected killer. Excitement filled the air as the investigators dove headfirst into their mission, drawing blood samples from each of the 4 men initially questioned in connection with Wendy's tragic death. The objective was clear: to compare their DNA against that of the suspected killer. Yet, as the results were unveiled, disappointment washed over them. The tests conclusively eliminated all 4 men as suspects, leaving the detectives back at square one. The DNA sample of the suspected killer was also too minuscule to compare against state and national databases. Frustration permeated the air as detectives grappled with the limitations imposed by the scarce evidence. Meanwhile, Wendy's family's world lay in ruins. They bore the weight of immeasurable pain, haunted by the uncertainty of whether her killer would ever face justice. The family left Wendy's room untouched, a painful reminder of the void left by her absence. Wendy's father, Lee, felt the depths of her loss most profoundly. Her birthday coincided with his own, magnifying the sorrow that loomed over every celebration. Lee made regular visits to the police station, driven by a determination to uncover any new developments. Each time he was met with disheartening news, yet he persisted, hoping for a breakthrough, especially in the advancements in technology that held promise for the future. The passage of time weighed heavy on the Halison family, but their resilience remained unyielding, and they clung to the tiniest glimmer of hope that remained. Fast forward to 2016, and the collective efforts of 3 individuals breathed new life into Wendy's case. Harry Clan, a seasoned criminalist, teamed up with Richard Bankston, a relentless cold case detective, and Peter Berman, a former deputy district attorney. Together, they formed an unstoppable force, driven by a shared mission to provide Wendy's family with the closure they so desperately craved. However, Bankston harbored a deep-rooted aversion to the notion of closure. To him, it was an unacceptable concept, for he vowed to keep the doors of investigation open as long as there remained even the slightest glimmer of possibility. These 3 determined souls poured their hearts and minds into the case, pushing beyond their limits to uncover the truth that had eluded so many for far too long. They combed through every piece of evidence as they relentlessly pursued justice for Wendy and her grieving family. In the summer of that same year, Clan took on the task of running the suspect's DNA sample through advanced technology. This was the hope, that it would yield the crucial markers necessary to upload the sample into the state system. Work began immediately, and after weeks of anticipation, there was finally a breakthrough. Filled with excitement and a sense of urgency, Clan swiftly reached out to Bankston to inform him of the new development. The match they discovered bore a name that would forever change the course of the investigation. The name was Edwin Dean Richardson. The detectives soon embarked on an exploration of Edwin's past, and what they uncovered was disturbing. They were confronted with an alarming truth. Edwin had an extensive criminal record that stretched back to his childhood. He was a perpetual drifter, moving from place to place and surviving on odd jobs while leaving a trail of mischief in his wake. Their investigation delved deeper, revealing a significant event in 1960 that cast a dark shadow over Edwin's history. He'd been convicted of attempted robbery and kidnapping in San Diego, resulting in a lengthy sentence of 8 years behind bars. However, fate intervened in April 1968 when Edwin was granted parole, offering him a taste of freedom after years of confinement. Little did anyone suspect that this newfound liberty would intertwine with the tragic events surrounding Wendy's death a mere 5 months later. Edwin's criminal spree did not end after his release from prison. Tom McCourt, a dedicated sheriff with 2 decades of experience in Belmont County, vividly remembered the relentless pursuit of Edwin, who fled the town after cruelly killing a 21-year-old woman named Joanna Bowner in the late 1970s. The crime had shaken Belmont County, a community defined by its steel and coal industries. Undeterred by Edwin's escape, McCourt tirelessly searched for him for over 3 years. Finally, a discarded phone bill found in the trash provided the breakthrough McCourt needed. With this, he was able to trace Edwin's whereabouts to a trailer park in Mesa, Arizona. It was there, in the sweltering heat of the desert, that Edwin was apprehended for the death of Joanna. During their journey back to Ohio, Edwin's true nature was revealed. With a disturbing lack of remorse, he bragged about another innocent life he'd extinguished. He described how he'd wrapped the victim's body in a blanket and disposed of it over a cliff. In 1981, Edward was incarcerated in an Ohio prison, this time for the murder of Joanna. But his crimes didn't stop there. He was also convicted of kidnapping 2 girls in West Virginia, solidifying his reputation as a heartless predator. Fast forward to 2006. A breakthrough in DNA technology brought Edwin's crimes to light once again. Authorities were able to successfully match his DNA to a cold case murder in Orange County. Despite being already incarcerated, Edwin was transported to California to face trial for the vicious assault and death of a 23-year-old woman named Marla Jean Hires in 1972. Marla's lifeless body, battered and wrapped in a cloth, had been found discarded down an embankment near the Yorba Linda Country Club. It was an eerie reminder of the chilling details Edwin had boasted about from years ago. By the time Edwin was on trial as regards Marla's case, he was 70 years old and burdened with emphysema, a debilitating lung condition that caused him to be constantly breathless and added to his deteriorating physical state. He was ultimately handed a life sentence, effectively ensuring that he would spend the remainder of his days confined behind prison bars. With this final conviction, justice prevailed for Marla Jean Hires and the countless other victims who had suffered at Edwin's hands. In 2013, at the age of 77, Edwin breathed his last breath behind prison walls. This revelation posed a significant hurdle to the investigative team working on Wendy's case. They realized that they could no longer hold him accountable for Wendy's tragic demise. They were robbed of the opportunity to directly question him in prison or extract a sample of his DNA to definitively link him to Wendy's case. Nevertheless, they refused to let his death be the end of the pursuit of justice. They turned their attention to a blood sample collected during the Orange County investigation, which had been positively identified as Edwin's. They believed this piece of evidence held the key in connecting Edwin to Wendy's case once and for all. Through analysis, they compared the DNA from Wendy's case to the blood sample, and it was a match. Amidst the revelations of Edwin's heinous acts, an intriguing pattern emerged. Detectives discovered that Edwin's victims shared many similarities. They were all young and attractive brunettes who were alone when they were abducted. It seemed that Edwin targeted women who were about to enter their cars, using some type of weapon to coerce them into the passenger seat. Each woman was abused, strangled, and their cars were abandoned. As the detectives painstakingly pieced together the puzzle of his crimes, a haunting question loomed in their minds. How many other victims had fallen prey to this twisted individual? The chilling realization was that there may be countless unknown victims. With the newfound confidence that Edwin was Wendy's killer, detectives soon reached out to her sister, Linda, to share the breakthrough. In August 2017, Linda made her way to the police station, wearing her sister's necklace as a heartfelt tribute. The weight of the past hung in the air as she entered the room. There, the detectives presented her with a collection of items recovered from Wendy's car, aged and worn by the passage of time. Yet, despite the years that had slipped away, Linda and her family were profoundly grateful for the unwavering dedication of the authorities. The journey to uncover the truth had been a challenging one, but at last, the closure they'd longed for was granted. As the curtains draw to a close on Wendy's case, a chapter of mystery and pain is finally sealed. Through years of tireless investigation, relentless pursuit of justice, and the advent of advanced forensic technology, the truth has emerged from the shadows. While the identification and conviction of Edward Dean Richardson offer a measure of solace, the scars left behind by his actions run deep. The disturbing pattern of Edwin's victims, his method of abduction, assault, and murder, leaves us pondering the motives behind his actions. What factors do you think contributed to his twisted mindset and his disregard for human life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.